we talk about that. It's a pretty typical receiver. And you mentioned him in the opening, with Justyn Ross. So, and this is probably my most intriguing guy that we got this weekend, undrafted signing.
Yeah.
From what I read, it seemed like he chose to go to Kansas City. There's other teams that came to him, but he wanted to go to Kansas City as his first team. And quite frankly, why not? If you have a choice, if you have a chance and choice to go wherever you want to go. But so in case you don't know Justyn Ross's history, so 2018 he was pretty much the number one receiver at Clemson when they won the national title. He was ahead of T. Higgins and Hunter Renfrow, and this is as a freshman. Sophomore year, ahead of T. Higgins and Hunter Renfrow, and he was the leading guy on that team. At that point, people thought he was going to be going top 10 pick if he came out. And then so in 2020 during spring ball, he gets injured, and a normal hit, and they go and get a scan of his back. And they see that he has, let me get the proper word for it. They found that he had a congenital fusion in his spine, a condition he was born with, apparently, that he didn't know about. And apparently medics and doctors, they don't want anyone playing any kind of contact sports when you have this condition. And, he's a football player, these guys want to play football, and he got surgery, came out, and everything was fine. But when it's a genetic thing, this can come back at some point, right? You don't know. It could, it may not. He comes out, misses the whole 2020 football season. 18-month recovery, comes back from his 18 months to play this past year, and he did, and no one thought he could do it. People thought he was going to be done with football, and he comes back and does it. Led a team in receiving. His stats weren't off the charts like they were for the previous 2 years, but Clemson did kind of a down year. So when people say, his numbers sucked last year, it's like, well, Clemson as a whole, the offense did not look like the offense that it had with his freshman sophomore year with Trevor Lawrence. They had multiple quarterbacks. The offense didn't look right. But anyway, he also was playing on a stress fracture in his foot that he played on the entire season. He ended up getting surgery after the season was over on his foot. And he ended up missing the combine. He attended the combine, but he didn't do any of the drills there. Went to pro day, ran a 4.640. People just didn't like his workouts. Like it didn't look like he didn't test well, essentially. Okay. And also a lot of NFL teams stayed away from him because of the whole spine issue. So a lot of teams kind of didn't red flag. They didn't want to deal with that. So they kind of stayed off of him. So draft comes, he goes undrafted. Kansas City Chiefs come calling. They do. Our medical team cleared him, as you mentioned. And 6'4", 205. People wanted a big body receiver. They got a guy who, with never had this injury, we wouldn't have gotten because he would have been a top 10 pick. We ended up getting this guy because, with medical. And hopefully, if he stays healthy, I think we might have a guy on our hands. And I posted a video on our Twitter page from last year. I did 2018, 2019, then I showed 2021. Yeah, you can even tell the quarterback situation was completely different night and day. But he looked explosive, and you can see this explosive athlete. His numbers probably weren't there, but he is explosive, and he's 6'4", 205. And he's awesome to watch. And it was a steal us getting him. So my question to you is, and you kind of mentioned it already, but what do you think if we can maximize this kid? Let's say he doesn't play this year. Let's say we put him on the PUP. He gets 1 year off to kind of, get right physically, and everything. And let's say he does make the team. What do you think? What do you think we have here with Justyn Ross?
You know what? I think a guy like this can turn a negative into a positive, especially after, being diagnosed with this disease or whatever it is they found, this medical issue. I think, man, you may find like that diamond in the rough. I do believe that. A guy like this who would, by all, measures, that was doing well, like you said, 2018, 2019, until he got hurt and found this out, should just have a great opportunity. And I think, Clemson is a great organization, right? Dabo does a great job with those guys, getting those guys ready to play in the NFL. That's why you see a lot of guys like that are, on rosters. It's because Clemson is one of those programs, man, that puts out a lot of guys that do well in the NFL. And I think he's bearing that he doesn't have any more issues with this medical diagnosis. I think he's going to be fine. I think he's a guy that can really latch on to this organization. And like I said, he could be a guy that, hey, you know what? Might have slowed you down a little bit, but Clemson cleared you. We cleared you. Hey, you know what? We'd love to have you. And he has his boy over here, Powell. Powell's here, right? And so Powell, I'm sure, is telling him all about the organization. So if he chose to come to the Chiefs, I mean, why wouldn't you? If I had a chance to go somewhere, I would want to go with the best quarterback in the business, for one, okay, that got one of the best coaches in the business, number two, okay, who's been to AFC championships and Super Bowls in the past few years. Like, why would you want to go to a place like that, right? I mean, that's just, to me, that just makes sense. And you're going somewhere that you know somebody. So I think he's going to be a good guy here, man. I really do. Like I said, we don't know how everything's going to, work itself out in that wide receiver room, but I hope he gets a roster spot. Shoot, he's going to have opportunity just like everybody else. And even if he doesn't get to play this year, right? Let's just say they still letting him develop, get healthy and whatnot. He's there. He's somebody they get to learn over the time. They're saying, okay, you know what? Yeah, he's past this thing, or maybe they're able to manage it, or, whatever. It's not going to have any indication that it's going to come back or really bother him. Good. We can use him in the future. I think that's a great pick. Like I said, it's just a future kind of standpoint of finding a guy like that. So, yeah, man, that's positive. That's positive for the team. I hope he makes it. I hope he does well. But a guy like that, tall guy, tall receiver, shoot, you wanted, ask, here you go. Yeah, you wanted a tall guy? Here you go. You wanted a guy that was dominant, in college? Here you go. And so, we had to think about, going back to Pickens, we had to worry about medical things with him too. So there's things, guys that just had to fight through, man. I hope he fights through this thing, man. And he comes and does well with the Chiefs, man. But that's his performance is going to be measured. It's going to be, tested. But I think he's going to do well for us. So I think that's what we got, man. A good player, no doubt about it.
Yeah, and with Pickens, it's a great point you mentioned that, because a lot of people were pissed off we didn't get Pickens, but it was medical with Pickens, and also there was a bit of maturity off the field issue with them. And there's nothing with that with Justyn Ross. And quite frankly, you could probably say the opposite. A guy who had this injury that could have ended his career. He, worked his butt off to get back on the field, and he did. And that's the thing. People talk about his times and how he didn't test well. He ran like a 4.6 240, if I'm not wrong. He ran 4.6 240 his pro day. Mm-hmm. Drake London, who's similar in stature, I think he's an inch taller than him, but they're about the same. 6'4", 6'5". Drake London ran 4.5 840. Okay. I mean, this guy ran 4.62. I mean, yeah, it's coming off a stress fracture injury as well as the spinal injury. So I mean, this 4.62, is that something that's like, is that like slow, JD?
I mean, it's you definitely want it to be faster than what the 4.62, no doubt about it. When everybody talked about, Jerry Rice having a 4.5 speed, you said, this guy, hey, if he's fast on the field and he can make plays, that's all that matters. Look, guys, and if he can play, and he can go up and get the ball, and he can make catches that other guys can't make, he can get open, he can run great routes. That's a guy that you want on your roster. He ain't always gonna be the fastest, right? He ain't always gonna be the prettiest. But daggone it, sucker just make plays. And that's all you want to see. So if he comes in and puts a Chiefs uniform on and he makes play after play, good for you. I'd put in my bio 4.6 at the top of it, Justyn Ross, 4.6, still killing them. You know what I mean? That's what I do. So, yeah, man, I think we got a good one, man. I think it's going to work out well for us. But, yeah, man, look, you want a guy to be faster. Like I said, sometimes those things is putting in my box. You want those measurables. You want those prototypical. I get it. Shoot, don't mean every guy that runs a 4.2 going to catch a football. So, hey.
And if he didn't run at the combine, I'm just thinking, he didn't run at the combine because he was recovering from the stress fracture. Pro day was probably 2 to 3 weeks later. I mean, how much more recovered was he from the combine to the pro day? And he knew he probably had to give a time anyway because everyone was kind of scrutinizing him because of his medical, so he kind of had to run. Definitely probably wasn't his best time for sure. But I will say this: looking at Brett Veach's history, and I know he was undrafted, but look what he did with Trey Smith. We got a starting right guard late in the draft because of medical. our team cleared him. And everyone always laughs. Oh, you're going to get a starting guard of your sixth rounder. Well, we did. A guy who was supposed to, and who knows what can happen with Justyn Ross,
Play well. And look, but you're taking a chance on a guy, right? I mean, it ain't really cost you nothing. It cost you no pick. You can bring a guy in, see what you can get from him. Mm-hmm. Shoot, I know he wants to be here. So, yeah, man, hey, give him a chance, opportunity to make the roster, right? He wants to show it. He knows, look, we know he can play, okay? The question is just the medical thing. And then just kind of going back, like I said, the Pickens, the medical thing with him. The whole off-field issues, to me, I wouldn't really bother by that. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't really a big issue to me because sometimes these things be made, we don't quite know everything what they are. But, if this is a good kid, he wants to come in, he works hard, he wants to try to make the roster, man, shoot, do it. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, it's going to be exciting to watch him grow. And a guy who had top 10 potential, and obviously we wouldn't have gotten him if he continued just, without his medical background, we got this guy. And now, with, having a team that's kind of supportive of you or declared you medically is going to be, supporting this guy. I'm excited to see what he can do with us. And we got our slot receiver in or Sky Moore. You can play him all over the place, but then you got, the physical specimen in Justyn Ross. And if you haven't already, please look at his 2021 highlights, because you're not going to, if you didn't know about his medical history, you wouldn't think there's really anything other than the fact that his quarterback play was a tad different from Trevor Lawrence. That's the only thing.
Here's to sprinkling some of that Trey Smith magic on him. All right, the little pixie dust, where you want to do, get them right. Here it is. Mr. Miyagi, get him ready. Get him right, baby. Let's go.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out the best clips from Chief Concerns. And if you prefer to listen to the show, subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you get podcasts.